Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Grace, it is lovely to have you here and happy Pride Month. I am so excited to get started on this vlog because there are two books I've been planning to read for this one and they are both highly anticipated releases for the year, and one has come out. The other one I don't think is technically out yet in the UK, but I'll get into that in a second. They are both by authors who have written some of my favourite books ever in the past, and they're both sapphic, so what more could I want? Happy Pride, everyone. First up we have Ordinary Love by Marie Rutkowski, and Marie Rutkowski wrote The Midnight Lie, which is one of my favourite books ever. It was one of the first ever sapphic books that I read, so I might be a little bit biased because of that. Sorry, this cover is so shiny. That's better. There we go, we'll go with that. This is the first contemporary romance that Marie Rutkowski's written. I think she wrote a thriller, and that's kind of the only one of hers that I've avoided because I'm not really a thriller person, but this is the story of Emily and Jennifer who bump into each other at a party after many years apart. They fell in love as teenagers, but for some reason it didn't work out and they've ended up walking down very different paths in life. Emily is living a picture-perfect life with young children and a wealthy husband, but behind the scenes her husband's behaviour is getting more and more controlling and Emily feels like she's losing sight of who she once was, whereas Jen is an Olympic athlete with a string of famous ex-girlfriends, and when the two of them bump into each other again at this party, the attraction is very much still there and it seems like they might get a second chance at love after all. I just love Marie Rutkowski's writing style. She is so lyrical and indulgent in her writing, which is always my kind of flavour of writing. And The Midnight Lie, I mostly loved the romance from that book. I liked the fantasy aspects as well, but realistically the plot wasn't as important as the relationship in that one. So I'm really excited to read a book by this author that is solely focused on that romantic relationship aspect. I don't read that much contemporary or literary fiction. I feel like this is leaning on the literary fiction side rather than like a cute romance. I could be wrong, I'm not entirely sure what to expect, but the cover is kind of giving more Sally Rooney than Emily Henry, right? Am I making that up? I guess we'll see, but I mean, I would be reading anything by this author as long as it's not too scary, basically, and the fact that it is a sapphic romance just makes me even more excited. And then I have something very exciting to unpack. So let me tell you what this book is, first of all. If you've watched any of my videos before, it is highly likely that you've heard me ranting about Imogen, Obviously, by Becky Albertalli, which is a young adult story. It's very coming of age focused, and it's about this girl who learns that she might just not be an ally to the queer community, she might actually like girls herself, and it's about her kind of getting over her feelings of not being enough for that community or feeling like she might be an imposter. I loved it so much. I haven't actually read any of the other books in Becky Albertalli's, I was gonna say discography, what's the word? Bibliography, that's the one. I haven't read Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda, which I know is the one that kind of blew Becky Albertalli up a few years ago. I would like to read it at some point, but anyway, I'm getting off topic. If you can't tell, I'm very excited about opening this because this is the new release by that author called Amelia If Only. But not just that, she has been doing a lot of promo on her Instagram account, and I entered a giveaway that she put up for a signed personalized arc of the new release and I won. So I have been holding on to this for a few days now. I've managed to not open it because I knew I needed to wait until I could film. I thought this would be a fun thing to open in this video, and it is finally time, so I'm just gonna dive in. There we go. That's so exciting. Advanced Reader's Edition. Oh, I've never had an American arc before. It's proper floppy and everything. There it is. Oh, that's so cool. Wait, and there's a little bookmark? Stickers? Oh, that's so cute. So there's a little postcard with Amelia, and I think Natalie is the love interest. And this little, I think, sticker, which is, I'm assuming, from Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda. Definitely need to read it now. Oh, and then, oh, that's so cute. It's a little Imogen Obviously bookmark, but she's signed it again and put Grace, obviously. God, I'm gonna cry. That is so, so cute. Becky, I know you're not watching this, but thank you so much. Oh, I'm so excited to get into this one now. I don't know what to do because I read Imogen obviously as an audiobook and I really liked the narrator, the way that was done, but this doesn't come out in the UK until the 19th, which is a few days away still. And now that I've opened it, I really just want to dive straight in. Let me give you an overview. I realise I haven't even told you what this one is about, but this follows Amelia, who is about to graduate from high school, and she is obsessed with this kind of chaotically bisexual YouTuber called Walter. She has a bit of a parasocial relationship going on with him. She thinks that if they just talk, they'd get on so well and maybe he'd even fall for her. And he announces that he's going to be doing a meet and greet within road trip distance of her. So she decides to persuade her friends that it would be a great kind of last hurrah before they all graduate. But on this trip, she begins to wonder if Walter really is the right one for her after all, or if maybe something else has been staring her in the face all along as she starts to get some butterflies for her newly single best friend, Natalie. I've mentioned before, I think, that I don't always love the way parasocial relationships are handled in teen books, or teen books in general. I don't always love the voice. I think it's really hard as an adult to capture a young adult voice in a way that isn't condescending and kind of cringe. I like it when teens are allowed to be kids, but also have depth to them and interesting internal lives, and that was captured so well in Imogen obviously. So while I think the parasocial relationship could be a bit of a tricky topic to cover, I am sure that Becky Albertalli is going to have done it really well in here. So I'm so excited and I think it's just going to be so much fun. I love coming of age queers. So I'm not entirely sure where to start. I think I'm gonna kind of steep and see which one I really feel like picking up first. And I'll give you an update once I've started one of them and gotten a little way through. I have a little bit of a chaotic week ahead of me. We just got back from Greece from a friend's wedding. It was absolutely gorgeous, but my boyfriend managed to break his foot diving into the pool. So I've very much been a nursemaid around here. It's not his fault, but we've got to take him to the hospital in a couple of days. So I will be kind of squeezing reading in around things. But I'm so excited to dive into both of these. I have really high hopes and I'm trying not to have too high hopes because that never really ends well for me. But I do think I could really love both of these. But yeah, I'll give you an update when I have one. So I decided to pick Ordinary Love up first, partly because I think I would like to wait for the audiobook to be available of Amelia, if only, but also because I'm not entirely sure that this one has a happy ending. I'm hoping that it does, but because it's more kind of literary leaning, I'm not sure. So I figured if I read this one first and it devastates me, then I can cheer myself up afterwards by reading Amelia, if only. So I'm about 70 pages in to this one, and the writing, as I suspected, is gorgeous. I don't really tend to annotate or put tabs in books or mark them in any way. I don't really find it that enjoyable or useful to me, I don't think, normally. I just kind of like to immerse myself and try not to distract myself because I'm so easily distractible anyway. But this is one of the first books I've read in a while that's made me think, oh, I'd really like to mark that sentence down. That was just so beautifully written and captured, and it's not overly done. It's not like the whole book is incredibly lyrical and full of similes and metaphors. It's kind of thrown in every now and then. Things will be almost kind of simply written for a while, and then you'll just get this one moment that evokes such a strong feeling, and it's written in such a specific way. It just kind of hits you for a second and you have to take a minute and pause and just let it sink in. Maybe I need to learn to annotate things. I don't know, I get scared of marking my books in any way. I'm one of those people who likes to keep them as pristine as possible. It's interesting because we haven't even got to the point of the reunion of these two women yet. We've had a lot of background and build up and kind of laying the foundations of their relationship in the past, as well as how Emily has gotten to the point that she is at now. I don't know if the book will later have any perspective from Jen, but currently it seems like it's going to be just from Emily's perspective. And we've taken a look at how her relationship with her current husband has formed and how it's started to break down. He is incredibly rich. It's giving very old money vibes. I feel like class is definitely going to be a big theme in this book because that's not the environment that Emily comes from, and definitely not the environment that Jen comes from. It almost feels like that is currently a bigger theme in the book than sexuality. It's going to focus on class a little bit more, but I don't know if that will change throughout. I'm really excited to see these two characters meet again because their relationship when they are teenagers is really sweet. The way that they become friends and then slowly develop into something more. It feels realistic, but also just based in such a depth of care for each other. And I'm really interested to see how the two of them will have changed and how that relationship will change now that they're grown up and they've been through so many different things and have all of this baggage between them. So yeah, so far, really enjoying it. It's kind of jumping around a little bit throughout time, but I'm really not minding that. I feel like because it's just so well written on a sentence level, I'm very happy just to be led wherever I'm going to be taken on this journey. So I'll probably let you know when I'm about halfway through this one and see what I'm thinking then. Book nerd in bed.
Book nerd.
Hello, sorry if I was a little bit worse for wear in those last few clips. We went out to a very close little cafe that Chris can just about manage to make it to. Planning on having a little reading date and some pancakes to distract him because he's been waiting for a response for this job that he's been up for, and while we were out we found out that he got it and I had a little cry. He's been trying to get into the kind of game designing space for more kind of tabletop games, not video games, for quite some time now, and it's a really hard industry to crack your way into. So needless to say, I'm very, very proud of him. But yeah, celebrating on a broken foot is an interesting one. I have gotten some more reading done. I'm about 150 pages into Ordinary Love now, and I'm still really, really enjoying this one. At this point, we're really delving quite deeply into her relationship with her husband and how that's kind of slowly, insidiously developed into something much uglier than it was when it began. Just all of the little details of manipulation and the way that he twists situations. Honestly, I would recommend kind of going into this one with caution if you've ever experienced a situation like that before, but I feel like it is really beautifully told, and we go into kind of Emily's psyche and the way that she is learning to almost retrain her own memory and reframe all of these awful moments into something else. There's this one passage I absolutely loved. She had said the right thing. She felt like she had won. She hadn't, she knew that. She had said what he wanted, but that knowledge didn't banish the good student inside her that Jack tutored. She couldn't help her relief. It ballooned inside her, stretched taut, leaving room for little else. The relief felt so close to gratitude that Emily couldn't distinguish the emotions, and therefore became grateful to Jack for forgiving her momentary defiance. I'm just really enjoying how deeply we're delving into the nuances of those feelings and how someone can end up in that kind of situation, and for so long as well. But we're still not that deep into the modern situation between her and Jen, the girl that she was with in high school, but I'm not mad about that. I really like a slow pace myself, and I like building up those pieces of groundwork so that I know the characters better when we actually do get their dynamic together a bit more. So yeah, still absolutely loving this one. It is now a few days later, so the audiobook has come out for Amelia If Only, and I've gotten started on it. I'm about 20% in, I think. I'm really enjoying the friend group dynamic we've got going on already. Honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about the parasocial relationship situation. I'm trying to just kind of roll with it because I know we're going to explore that in a more nuanced way throughout the rest of the book. And I'm also trying to remind myself of what I was like as a teenager, because obviously that is the target audience here and I have to keep myself in that mindset. I definitely had some not too healthy parasocial relationships as a teenager, both with like celebrities and YouTubers. So while externally I can look at Amelia's feelings and be like, come on, that's not that healthy, I can understand why she feels that way. But yeah, it's still pretty early. They've just set off on their road trip, which I think could be really fun. I feel like I read a lot of books when I was a teenager about road trips, but I haven't read one in quite a while. But yeah, we'll probably spend the evening celebrating as much as we can on Chris's broken foot. But then we're heading into the weekend, so I'm hoping I can finish both of these off in the next couple of days.
Multiple buildings, and it ruined a ruin, which ruined a ruin again, all in the name of progress.
We had a cozy little celebration the other night. We played some Everdell, which is one of our favourite board games right now. And then yesterday we had a pretty chill day, but I did get a chunk of reading done, especially because I just have a lot of chores to do, especially because Chris can't really do much on his foot. So I got through a lot more of Amelia If Only yesterday, listening to the audiobook. I am 66% of the way through now, so 2/3. This one is really cute. We've actually had a bit of a cameo from some of the characters in Imogen Obviously, which is really fun to see. But I think that the most interesting part of this, at least so far for me, has been the kind of online aspect. This book is full of references. It's very set in the modern time, and I always find that interesting. I think it is something that you see a bit more in young adult novels. I can remember it being something that I would have enjoyed when I was that age, so I think it does make sense, but it always makes me wonder how it will be to read this a few years down the line. The Gen Z speech is very, very strong. But I'm not mad about it, it's just interesting. I can understand that it wouldn't work for everyone. I know some people don't like those kind of cultural references in their stories. But when you're a teenager, I suppose that is a bigger part of your life, especially if you are quite an online person, so it would be strange for that to be left out of here. And there's a lot of discussion about queerness in the public eye, especially again as an online person, which is interesting because I know the author Becky Albertalli has had to deal with that herself. There was a whole situation with her feeling like she had to come out herself online because of how people were discussing a straight woman writing books about queer characters, and there was a whole load of discourse. And this kind of explores that by talking about this boy who is an internet YouTube kind of personality who has come out himself but has a whole load of kind of deranged shippers desperately wanting him to admit that he's been dating his co-star this whole time. So there's a lot of discussion in here of that kind of internet space and how unhinged it can be. Obviously, looking at it externally, it does look crazy that you can get to that point of brazenly asking someone over and over again to admit that they're with someone. But of course that kind of thing does happen on the internet. It really reminds me a little bit of Kayla, the Taylor and Carly Kloss situation. And this isn't coming from our main character, it's from other people in the fandom. There's a lot of discussion of fandom, and it is definitely interesting. I'm kind of having to go back into the recesses of my teenagehood because this isn't necessarily applicable to my life now in any way, but I definitely was entrenched in some fandoms back in the day as a teenager. So I'm enjoying it. It definitely, I kind of knew going into it wasn't going to hit me emotionally in the same way that Imogen Obviously did, just because I felt so personally seen by that story. Our main character here is a girl who's known for quite some sometime that she's queer, and all of her friends are, and they're all quite comfortable with that. So it's just a very different topic of discussion. It's still an interesting one, just one that's slightly less personal to me. So I'm still having fun, I'm just not like gut punched, you know? And then Ordinary Love, I am about 280 pages in now. I am really flying through this one. I've only got about 70 pages left. I just love Marie Rutkowski's writing style. It's so beautiful and so compulsively readable. I was definitely right to think that this isn't just a straight up romance. There is a heavy theme of romance throughout, but we're really following Emily's life through this terrible relationship that she has with her current husband. We're exploring her queerness and how that isn't presented always in the way that she wants it to be because she's been with a man for so long. Like I said earlier, there is a lot of exploration of class in here and how money can be used as such just a tool of power, especially within this relationship, because Emily has gone into it at such an imbalance of power with her husband. He has so much more wealth than she does. And I really do think this is one of those ones that I might want to reread and tab at some point, because I keep just finding lines every now and then that really resonate with me. She loves a good metaphor, and I love a good metaphor as well, and she knows how to take just a tiny specific moment and use a metaphor or some kind of juxtaposition to make you look at it in a new way. It's also quite philosophical at times. Our main character is pretty philosophical. I'm paraphrasing, but there is a part where she says her husband, when he's in a good mood with her, will call her dreamy, but when he's in a bad mood with her, will call her spacey. And she just thinks that she is quite an internal person, but has become even more internal over the course of their marriage to protect herself, to have that space within her she can run away to. It's gorgeous. I am scared because the place that we're in right now, I feel like things could go wrong quite easily. In these last 70 pages, I'm kind of scared of how this is going to be wrapped up, but I'm just loving it. It feels so smart and insightful and just beautifully written. I'm having a wonderful time with this one. So I will probably give you an update now when I'm done with both of these and give you a little wrap up. I don't think it should take me too long to finish both of these off. Hello, before I get into any book stuff, I have to show you something. I got Chris some flowers as kind of a combo sorry your foot's broken, get well soon, but congrats on the new job kind of thing. And his favorite color is blue, so I picked these out, which are clearly dyed, but I didn't realize until the first one opened up. Look at this. These are bisexual flowers. It just feels so perfect for this video. They smell lovely as well. Anyway, I have finished both of my books for this video. I did finish them the other night, but it got kind of late, so I thought I would ruminate on my thoughts for a little bit and give you an update in the light of day. Amelia, if only, had a very cute ending, which was exactly what I was expecting and hoping for. And we did also get a bit more deeply into just the kind of idea that you don't know anyone online. The persona that they present or the information that they give online is by no means anywhere near the full story. I really liked the way that that was handled, and I'm really glad that Amelia wasn't a crazy fangirl. She was a lot more chill about it when she finally gets to this meet and greet. There's actually a letter at the start of this from Becky Albertalli that goes into this a little bit more. She says, in the book, Amelia tries to explain it. This is you online, she tells Walter, and this is you in real life. In the scene, she tilts her hands up, holding them 2 inches apart. At its heart, this is a book about those 2 inches of space. I can't speak for every public figure, but for me, it's like this. There are times when I feel truly aligned with my public persona, and there are times when those 2 inches feel like miles. I've had moments of feeling completely seen and present. I've also hidden heartbreak in plain sight. It's hard to wrap my head around those contradictions sometimes. So I did enjoy that aspect of this. Honestly, I think I just wish this had been longer. I enjoyed everything that was in here. I just felt like all of it could have had a little bit more depth, and it did feel like quite a short book. It could have had more time devoted to it. The relationship between Amelia and Natalie also, I wish we'd had a little bit more in the second half, just a little bit more time with them figuring things out between the two of them. I did really enjoy what we had. I just think this takes place over such a short period of time as well. I think it's only a few days, like a long weekend. I would have been perfectly happy to read more to just get a little bit more insight into their relationship and how they're kind of going to move forwards from here, and to get to know Natalie a little bit more. I feel like Amelia I really did understand, but Natalie I still don't quite fully get her deal. Saying that, I did really enjoy this one. I think it was always going to suffer from just not being Imogen, obviously. And I think if I'd read this as a teenager who was like obsessed with Dodie and her whole friend group at the time, then I would have felt a lot more seen at that time in my life by this one. It also has big theatre kid energy. Amelia is such a huge dork in a sweet way, but she's a very big, kind of boisterous character, and it's fun to see that because I feel like a lot of the young adult novels I've read have had quieter, more introverted main characters. So while I couldn't necessarily relate to Amelia as much, it was fun to see a different kind of character who wasn't just that kind of shy, not like other girls kind of girl. So yeah, I think this probably is just a case of I enjoyed it, but I wasn't necessarily the exact target audience for this one, so it didn't quite emotionally impact me in the same way. But I would still definitely recommend this one, and I would recommend this to teenagers who are wanting that kind of queer coming of age, especially teenagers right now in this time period who are maybe quite online and would understand and relate to the themes talked about in here. Now, Ordinary Love by Marie Rutkowski. This is definitely going to be fighting for one of my favourite books of the year so far. I think that this is one that I might enjoy even more on a reread. I feel like I kind of flew through this one. It was very compulsively readable. I feel like the situation between Emily and her husband, I guess kind of the injustice of the situation just made me want to carry on reading because I was kind of furious. But also then the relationship between Emily and Jen. As I'm sure you know by now, I'm often very easily distracted while I'm reading, but I found it really easy to sit down and devote a few hours at a time to this one. But I do think I'd like to go back and reread it a little bit slower and, like I said, maybe mark up some of my favourite lines because there was so many beautiful turns of phrase in here and just really insightful descriptions and metaphors, explanations of feelings. This has really just re-solidified my love for this author and her writing. I should say, I don't think I've mentioned this, but this is also a pretty spicy book. It definitely doesn't feel like that's the main aspect of it, but it's very much there. I feel like every now and then, as someone who writes, or sometimes writes, is trying to write, whatever you want to call it. Every now and then I will read a book and it will hit different because I write. I'll be kind of seeing it on two levels. One, as a reader who's just really enjoying themselves and can think critically about it as well, of course, but also as a writer who is learning from it, if that makes sense. If a book is really, really good, or at least I feel it's really, really good, then I'll start to see it through the lens of, wow, this is so well written, that's so interesting and smart, what can I take away from this as a writer myself? And there were definitely moments of that for me in this one. Whether that was in specific turns of phrase and like on a sentence structure, how incredibly it was written, but also in scenarios and twists and turns that this took. There's one scene in particular that I loved where Emily meets a lot of Jen's friends, and Jen has this big, cool, queer friend group in New York City, and it ends up being quite a tense situation because of kind of a miscommunication, kind of some dramas going on. But one of the friends introduces a game of Never Have I Ever, and just the way that kind of the immediacy of the dialogue without much description going on just unravels all of the threads of their relationship in front of this friend group. I just thought it was such an interesting way to tell that scene and link back to the way that they were high school sweethearts and that kind of tension of playing those games together when you might have feelings for each other in high school. I just thought it was so cleverly done, and there were several moments like that in this story. It's also just beautifully complicated, the layers and the types of love in here, the relationship that Emily has with her children, and the way that she is viewed often as kind of lesser than because she's so focused on her kids and she doesn't have a job herself. There are definitely times where she's kind of seen as just a trophy wife for her husband, when of course taking care of kids is a full-time job in itself. I just felt like this handled a lot of themes really, really well. The class divide that's there throughout this one, the fame that Jen then deals with when she becomes this Olympic runner, the way that our main character doesn't feel like she is a part of the queer community because she ended up marrying a man even though she is still attracted to women, and of course the abuse that goes on throughout this one. It is definitely heavy at times, and I would go in prepared for this one, but all of the little moments of that we get just build up such a picture of how Emily has ended up in this situation. And when she is telling her story to other people and they're asking her, why would you stay in that situation? You've got all of the backstory and you can see how she got trapped just by degree over time. Yeah, I loved it. I really enjoyed this one, and I will definitely be singing its praises to anyone who will listen. And Marie Rutkowski has solidified herself as one of my favourite authors of all time. I'm just so excited for anything she puts forth in the future. So thank you for watching. I had a really great time with these two, my two most anticipated sapphic books of the year, although some have been announced more recently that I'm really excited for the second half of the year as well. I would really love to hear what you've been reading this Pride Month. Please recommend me more queer books. I can never have enough. But thank you again for watching. I hope you're having the most wonderful day, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye bye.